house, if you would build or buy it yourself, it's like 300,000. I see people like renting it out for like 900, 800 a month. Well, not even more than that. Let's assume 300,000 house, you rent it out for 900 euros a month. And then out of that 900 euros, probably like 300 goes to the it's kind of like a maintenance cost for the housing company. So you get profit of 600. Then assuming a 25%, or let's say like 30%, like a tax out of that 600. What is that now? 60, 180, 420. So 420 every month profit. So now by 12, that's like what, 420 plus. So that's like 5,040 profit. 5,040 profit a year. So now 10 years. That's 50,000 roughly profit out of 300,000 investment. And now what does they make as a percentage? 50,000 on top of 300,000. Wow. My multitasking skill is not that great. Wait a minute. So 6 is wow. Like what? 15%? No. That's more than 15%. My goodness. 6 and then 6 times. Wow, no, my math is really not working. Ay. So 16% profit in 10 years. Okay, considering that's calculated with the tax part already, it's a good one. So 1.6% profit after tax. Yeah, I think it would be good profit still. Like really good profit if you think about it. Because and then now during that time, most likely the value of the house have been going up. If you have always think about that part. The value of the house went up at the same time on 10 years. Like probably like 10%. Let's take it like 20%. So in total, pretty good. Of course, it's a probably there is much more better investments, like let's say like financially getting more money out of it, but the real estate is much safer in that aspect. Because I mean, if everything goes crazy, you can still sell it most likely with the same price. Of course, if you get a bad tenants, problematic tenants, that might cost you quite a lot of money. Especially because the way there is some laws that is just stupid. In every country there is like, well, not every country, but most of these countries there is just stupid laws protecting bad tenants. And they can play around with it without any consequences. So it's a nightmare also sometimes if you get unlucky. If you get unlucky, it's gonna be a massive mess. But yeah, can only dream to have a 300,000 there in your pocket to figure out what to do. What to do with that money, yeah. That's the thing. I wonder like how much Kai Senat's place, the place they rented out, how much that was for month. I mean, it's not like for month. It can't be for month because, you know, getting everything ready in the house, it takes time. So probably, I think like they probably rent it out for 2 to 3 months in total. Just assume, like let's take those are crazy records. If anybody is, it's annoying. One thing is annoying. Everybody is just like saying weird stuff about it. It's just stupid. Everybody's like a backhand complimenting or saying like, oh, it would not be that because of this and this, and you know, I could be the same and stuff like that. Come on, give the guy, like, you know, what he did. It is unique, so everybody should just give him a massive clap, congrats on him, and instead of speaking, do it yourself. So, like, yeah, always I always like. I have, well, not always, but like lately this year, I had like a good talk with one of my friends about this mindset of, because you know, like let's be honest, he's like straight up, he's immigrant in this country, so he always had this kind of like, he said like how for him, he kind of like hanged around with wrong kind of people, like who had a bad mindset of, you know, succeeding in the country and, you know, advancing, and then he always used like the going for defense mode, where he's like, you know, he's blaming others of him not succeeding or getting where he wants to get, because it's a pretty typical like mindset of those who are kind of like stuck as an immigrant. Like they always blaming the language, that the language barrier is the issue, causing them problem. They don't want to hire you because you don't speak enough Finnish or you're not Finn. You know, always coming up excuses. Of course, like some part is true. I'm not denying that. But the fact is that how is it going to help you for if you're dwelling on that? Like, what are you going to do to change that? Now that's the mindset, like he said, and he changed it, and now he's a self-made employee. I mean, self-made boss. He is boss of himself, in a way. So he's making money by not working for anybody. So he like having his own business. He's doing his own stuff. He's successful, getting successful. And he's not the only one. I have met so many people throughout him also, like, because he, after that, you know, like when he's changed this mindset, kind of like started to put more people, this kind of like, okay, you need to surround yourself with the right kind of people. And that's another thing. It is a thing that people always forget. You need to surround always yourself with right kind of people. Because if some people are like looking down on you, or they, you know, like if there is a possibility that they will start looking down on you when you get successful, because, you know, they will do back of their mind, maybe they don't even realize themselves that the comments they do, the actions they do, they're putting these kind of like doubts in your mind, because, you know, they haven't succeeded in what they're doing, or they're just enjoying what they do, but low key they're jealous. They want to be more, but they don't take the risk, or they don't do enough for that, because, you know, it's easy to be working and get a good salary and be just satisfied with it, but if you same time you're thinking like, man, I really would want to have that, you know, so what are you gonna do about it? Nothing. So that's kind of a mindset, you know, like, and then they telling comments to attack you. It's very important. There's like a lot of things. It really is like a small niches that, you know, like small details that really matters, and it's so hard to see them yourself. It usually takes a lot of time and energy. Even if, you know, like I'm here, or any of motivational speakers and all that, they give these all kind of like massive speeches and everything. It's not that simple. They always make it sound so simple because, oh, they figure it out. But most of the time, these motivational speakers and these kind of people, they haven't really figured it out. They really don't know about it. They just got lucky. A lot of times when these people give success stories and everything, when you really start to reflect them, because, you know, when they're coming up and starting to give a speech, it's not like everybody knows, like, or some people knows what really happened back that time. Because when you are nobody, people don't know about it. Unless you like, let's say, oh, I failed like 5-10 different companies and stuff like that. Okay, like an example is like a Angry Bird, the creator of Angry Birds. You can see they failed so many games before Angry Birds, before they started reaping the success and everything. You can see how many times they failed before that. You know, like there's certain track records. But when it's like, oh, I became successful when I did make this decision. Like, did you really make that decision? Or you just were working hard and you got lucky, or anything. It's like a lot of times, most of the idea of these motivational speakers are that they are just there to get money. That's the thing. That's like issue I always see. People who giving this kind of like a grand, like information, or grant this kind of like a motivation, or this kind of all kind of like speeches, that the idea of that is to give you up and doing something. Is I am a little bit on my back with my toes, because I'm like, if you have all these ideas and everything, why, and you're trying to like motivate people to do it, like what's the angle here? Like, why are you doing this? Of course, they get money for speaking. And then, of course, the more motivational, the more success you have, the more money you're getting. So sometimes it's just, it's not honest. I think like motivational speaking, it is good if it's like some public thing, but really people have to sit down and start thinking about themselves. How am I going to do this? And all, there's so many motivational speaks and everything doing. Because I was actually, out of curiosity, I was like trying to pump myself up this morning. I was listening some motivational speaks and everything. I was like, some of those things are like, actually they're talking about the same thing. So I also started to wonder how often these people are really thinking, like really reflecting themselves, or is it that they're just copying everybody? And they're using the success they have as a background for it. Like, how many of them really telling their own story as it is? Ken Boss, how are you? I am good. How are you? How are you doing? I'm very good. Talking about motivational speaks and everything. Hopefully you are having very motivational day ahead. It's Sunday. It can be a little bit depressing on Sunday, knowing that tomorrow is work. At least for me, it's work, not for everybody. And of course, we're kind of like heading to the end of the year. So if you're a student, oh boy, you still have a lot to do. Final exams and everything before Christmas break. But Ken Boss, how are you? So nice to somebody asking how are you doing. I always like it, how are you doing? Even though I'm always gonna say like I'm good, because it's a thing that not many people start telling, like all the I had a very depressing morning. I forgot to take my right kind of medicines, and then I've effed up my whole day, stuff like that. And it's rare to people to go such a detail, because you need to know a little bit somebody more. And then of course we are like a society kind of have created it's that like, let's be honest, if somebody starts opening up after somebody asks how are you, and then they start opening up with all the craziness what's going on in their life right that moment, you start to look like okay, do we know that? Do we know each other that well? But I'm good. Thank you for asking, and hopefully you are also doing good. So yeah, it's just the craziness. But there's motivational speakers. Yeah, there's like they're nice to hear and stuff like that. But sometimes it's like what kind of a value they have, unless you yourself don't want to get in. Because like I remember one company I was working, that we had this like a well-being events and stuff like that, and always we had like a crazy motivational speakers and stuff like that. I'm good today. It's a day off from working yesterday, so getting to relax and chill before work tomorrow. That is very good. It's important to have the rest, although I do understand if somebody who needs to grind, you need to grind, but rest is important. especially when you start hitting to my age, when I'm almost 40. So at this point, you start to feel like, man, if I work like I used to work when I was 20, and I would just die. Well, it's mostly because right now, when getting old, having family and everything, you know, like, time is getting more limited. That's like it. But it's good. It's good that you get to rest at least one day. Because I mean, let's be honest. Even if somebody loves their job, it still take your energy and mindset, mentality level down. Because it's still draining. Because it's not really, because let's be honest, like, how many people out there are saying that this is a job, this is the thing I want to do in my life, I want to work in this job? Like, how many people will truly say that? If we like disregard the part that, yeah, you need to work to pay the bills, I can pretty much say that it is very margin of people who say, like, I love what I'm doing. Most of the time they are doing like their job, I mean, like their company, you know, they opened a business then that they believe into, or they're doing some charity work that is not getting paid. So yeah, because I mean, this is another thing, doing charity work, charity organizations and getting paid for it, I don't feel that's much of a charity really, because charity is supposed to be that you're helping people in need without gaining something out of it. So if you're getting paid for it, that's a little bit sus, if you know what I mean. Of course, I do understand if there is no such thing, no charity work is happening. But now, like, there's been a lot of discussion, at least in our country, like, out of the amount of money given to these charities, how much money really reaches to the end. There's like too many middlemen at the between. But they're like, I was setting up at the motivational speaker in a previous company I had, or these kind of things. Like, they had like very fancy people. Like, there was one guy he was Sebastian Vettel's private fitness. No, was it? Yeah, it was. And Fernando Alonso's. He used to work for Fernando Alonso, and he used to work for Sebastian Vettel as a like a mental coach, and some other, you know, like so like very big names, and you know, like this. And then he was just promoting the thing they're doing and everything. But you know, like, it just that didn't feel that he really wanted to do that. Like, you know, like somehow I just got the feeling like he's doing all this kind of thing for the company he's working, and of course he's getting paid, so he's doing, but what he truly wants to do is that really, I didn't get that. Like, they had like a one-on-one discussion, and it's just so weird. But these companies are always going for them, and you know, they think that's how it's gonna motivate people to work in a company more and everything. But no, most people, we just want to work to get the bills paid. That's the reason we work. So and it's just a funny, it's just a funny kind of like circle we're going around with it. But hey, you can't blame the companies. Of course, the company wants you to get the mindset that, oh, you know, you're doing this work, so you know the owner of the company can make more money. So you know, it's a vicious cycle. But then again, how else are all the bills going to be paid? Like, it's not like everybody can become an entrepreneur. How is it gonna go if everybody's gonna be doing being an entrepreneur or social media influencer or all that? Like, how is it like, how is the actual work going to be? So you know, there has to be some ways to keep people tied in it. Although, like, it is clear that nowadays so many people want to be like a influencer. There is just something on that. But then again, if I'm looking, like, really reflecting back long time ago, because I remember the time when the show called Big Brother came, and people were obsessed with that show. That already was an indication on how people want to see how different kind of lives are and different kind of people are, you know, like, okay, because let's be honest, like if you anybody what looked a little bit of the Kai Cenat's Sabaton, it is exactly like Big Brother, basically, without the nominations part. You know, put people in the house, make them do things, activities, have an open discussion, have a talks and everything. So basically it is exactly like Big Brother, but in just different form. Like it's not like competition. Instead it's just, but it is like this kind of like you create certain kind of activities, bringing people to the show, visiting guests or stuff like that. So it's just the thing that people want to see, something that is not their lives. They want to see because they probably will never be able to get it, to achieve that feeling. So they want to see it. Especially the young kids are definitely prone to want to see like all different kind of lives, how they are, how is it. Because they are still like, teenagehood is a very interesting time anyway. At least for me, it was always like so I'm most likely for everybody, you know, like teenagehood, you're trying to figure out who you really are, what is truly your interest, and you're not influenced by your friends and everything, and it's all that kind of stuff. Because I was usually hanging out with a lot of friends, and you know, like they kind of like were showing that they like they're really interested in games and everything, but when it's teenagehood started to come, I started to realize like actually most of my friends, they're not into video games at all. Like they want to do things with cars, you know, fixing cars and drive around with cars and mopeds and all this. And I was like, I don't have a single bit of interest on those ones. You know, like, yes, car is very, when you have like really nice car, muscle car, powerful car, it's very intriguing and interesting. But really going for like very detailed things, that's not where my interest lies. For me, playing games was more interesting. Like, well, anyway, later on I realized it was because of my ADHD. So it made a lot of sense. Made a lot of sense why, you know, it was so calming to play games. Other times I was just very, very like distracted because because you know, I used to hang out with my friends, my childhood friends in the garage, were fixing and everything. I was also like doing stuff with the car, fixing and everything. But I just, you know, I got easily distracted while doing that. Like the stimulus wasn't enough for me to do it, so I kind of like got distracted and I was taking shortcuts, which led to almost, you know, completely destroying the engines and stuff. So yeah, clearly that wasn't for me. Clearly that wasn't for me. So yeah, but yeah, it's a tough world we're living in. But that's why, you know, we have to be like a content what we have. Because like, let's be honest, most of the time what we might have is something that somebody definitely can't have. Like let's say if you have a degree and you work in an office, you clearly cannot say that, you know, like my life sucks, because you are working in an office, not like heavy duty work, most likely getting paid more than most of the people. And it's like light work and everything. So yeah. And if you still have the situation that you don't have enough money to do things, maybe it might be that the spending is wrong. Like I was saying, I think like I said yesterday, like I've been watching on now, because you know these YouTube shorts and TikToks, they work on algorithm. When you watch something long enough, or the algorithm thinks this is the things you're looking into those videos, that because they have something common in them, they come up with the things that, oh, you know, there's this and this. So I've been watching this one guy who has a podcast, and they're going through of how people are spending their money and how they are stuck with massive debt and everything. And then when I watch that show, I'm like, sometimes I wonder, like, because this is Americans, I'm wondering like how bad money management skills Americans can have. Of course, it can't say like so, like everybody, but it just the stories there is, like how dumb some people can be. And always, it's funny thing, always what they put the blame on. They always put the blame on this kind of like emotional things. You know, like, you know, I was going through something. That's pretty much the common thing. So basically they've been going through something for 10 years. And you're like, what? And then there's some things that, oh, I didn't pay it because I didn't feel like it. Some like, and then some bill is overdue and, you know, they're getting, you know, repoed something, you know, the car gets repoed or something. I don't know. It's like weird systems sometimes. So, but yeah, it's those are interesting stories. Like, how is it possible? And then I remember this one couple in the show. They were like, the guy works 8 hours a day, and he called wife asking, "What is there something to eat or something?" You know, like, and then there was like, "Oh, there's nothing to eat," or, you know, he's too tired of cooking or something like that. And then the guy is like, okay, he goes to like McDonald's or something like this, you know, like, it's not, even though it's fast food and everything, it's supposed to be apparently fairly cheap. It's not really cheap food, to be honest. 10 euros, $10 for a meal. You cook that, say, with the same money, you probably almost can eat same food for a whole week. Almost. Depending on like what kind of food you're making. But like I made food prepping, for example. I made it for 5 days. Just for like 10 euros, basically. So just an assumption. So yeah, one kind of like a restaurant meal, you can easily eat whole week on it. And you know, because why I'm bringing it up like this, because these are people who are, you know, like in a situation that they can't pay the bills and everything. And all kind of weirdness, even though they have a good salary. That's always the crazy part, that some people have a very good salary, but yet still they cannot pay the bills, or they're wasting it on unnecessary things. You have a lot of debt. You don't pay the debt. Now the interest rates are ramping up. Soon you're in the situation you cannot pay the debt because the interest rate bumped it up so much. And sometimes the amounts of money they get, I wish I would have that. I wish I would have that. And even if they say like, oh, they live in some expensive place or neighbor, you know, like a city, I would like, okay, I will just work here for like 5 to 10 years and keep my cost very minimum, and then I move hell out of there. That's what I would be doing. I have done that basically. I have done that basically too in my life. So not maybe that long, but you know, like when I was doing it like really, and I was living in an expensive country. I was like, okay, let me just like work, not do nothing. And besides, anyway, what do I need to do? If I would be single, like all I need is just to have a computer, internet connection. That's it. Just go work, come home, play. If I was getting good money out of it, yeah, I just do that 5 years or 10 years and then move back home. Back to the small town I was born with. Because I mean, like an example, if you work in Saudi Arabia, you get tax-free money. Yes, you might work like a lot of hours and, you know, like 12-hour shifts and everything. You might work, if instead of working 40 hours a week, you're probably gonna work 70 hours a week or something. 70, 80 hours a week. Yes, it's gonna burn you out very fast. But then again, with all that thing going on, get a good money, tax-free money, work for a couple of years, 5 years even, and all the activity you're doing is like you're just hitting the gym, restaurant maybe, and then you just, you know, chill, play games, rinse and repeat easily. Because like it's just the thing. 5 years working, let's say like 5 years you're working in a place. Because also the thing with, if you work in Saudi Arabia, most of the jobs there as a like let's say like European, you get paid as per your passport. So let's say like if the average salary in Finland is like 35,000, 3,500 a month. Saudi Arabia probably is gonna pay you like 4,000 a month, and then on top of that, it's tax-free and housing is paid. So basically, only money you're going to be spending is clothes, hygiene products, and food, and maybe even transportation, not necessary. A lot of times there is a company, like a shuttle, depending the company and depending where you're working. But but okay, let's say you got transportation. So basically, you're just gonna, out of like 4,000, you're just going to spend like 400 every month. So you're going to be net worth at least 3,000. At least 3,000 every single month. Yes, you're working hard. You really, really killing your back and everything. But think about it. 3,000 after tax. I mean, because there's no tax. 3,000 after all the expenses a month. And then in your country, after all the tax and everything, that same salary and, you know, like housing and everything, probably you're just gonna have like 1,500 after everything, after all the payments, you know, food and everything. Maybe not even 1,500, because the accommodation is quite a big hit on your income always. So if a place that they pay you the living conditions and everything, yeah, bro, working just even a couple of years there is just gonna be a massive. I mean, like what, 3,000 after tax and after all the expenses a month? That is in 1 year, that's already like 30,000, 36,000. 36,000 in a year net income after all the expenses you have. That's crazy. Might be hard work, yes, but when you're young, you grind. So if you have access when you're young, yeah, why not? It's a nice example, and most people do that. Most people really are doing that. So, yeah. That's how it is. When you're young, you should do it like that. But the issue in these shows is usually like people are